Oh,
Welcome to the Church of Mabus radio show. It's Friday night. It's 7:11 p.m. Central, 8:11 p.m. Eastern. Plug in a couple things real fast. UFO Paranormal Radio, UFO Paranormal Radio. That's our YouTube channel. UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials. That's our other YouTube channel. You can also check out Ozark Mountain UFO Conference, April 8th through the 10th, 2022. Best Western End of the Ozarks. Don't do that, dog. And that's it. That's the Ozark Mountain UFO Conference. And you can check that out. All right. We got Wham with us here tonight. How's it going, Wham?
It's going.
New York's representing.
Yep.
We got Andrew Aloha in Arizona representing. How's it going, Andrew?
aloha, all the way from Flagstaff, Arizona.
Cool. So is Aloha your real last name, or is it like your nickname, or is
It's
it
actually a name that came to me years ago. I was living. I was in California. I was visiting a friend, and she says, "Andrew, you got to go to Hawaii and reclaim your heritage to the Ali'i." I said, "Oh, whatever. I'm just like I really believe this." So anyhow, I went back to Grass Valley where I was living at, and all of a sudden, all the stuff about UFO, about Hawaii started coming up. And I thought, even a woman with a license plate for her car license plate was from Hawaii. And I thought, well, this is kind of weird. I said, okay, fine. So I finally gave in, and I did. I went to Hawaii for about 7.5 months. I lived there. I got to, and I did. I got to do everything you can do there as a tourist in Maui. Not of all places. That's where I was living at. I lived there in Maui, and all the snorkeling trips, bicycle trips, dinner cruises, helicopter rides. I mean, luau's, everything that you can do as a tourist. Literally, I did. And of course, I gained about 50, 60 pounds. I don't know how much I gained. But finally, I said, well, okay, I got to go home. I got to go. I had enough wire. I think water, because I think, what's it called when you're on an island and you start to get inundated by water. Well, that's what was going on. So I did. I came back, and I immediately went and got my van, and I went to a place in San Ramon. I don't know. Have you ever heard of a woman by the name of Amachi, the Hugging Saint?
no? It
No.
doesn't ring a bell.
This was back in 2003, and literally at that time, she had already hugged over 45 million people, literally all over the world. So
Okay, I got you.
I went to her ashram in San Ramon, and I thought I'm going to go do a meditation and see what happens, because I needed to know what I knew. I wanted to go on tour with her. She was getting ready to go on tour every year. She would go all across the country from Washington to Washington and do a tour and hug people all over the country. So and I I went to her ashram and meditated there, and then the devotees there go, well, why don't you just stay here and just and just do service, and you could stay here for free. Well, not really for free, because I was working, but and what I was doing is me and the woman, um I wish I could remember her name. She was a very kind person, but me and her would go every week in a 20-foot trailer or truck. I would drive it, and we would go and pick up medical supplies that we would send. That when we come, and Jeffrey, the thing about this job was that when we come back, we'd go intending on just picking up a few things, but every time we came back, that truck was packed. I mean, completely full. And so anyhow, we'd come back, unload everything, and then we would go ahead and send all the stuff in one of those a trailer or whatever, to go overseas. It would go overseas to her hospital in India. She has a hospital I don't know. She might have several hospitals now, but she had a hospital where all the services are free. In fact, I there's a another saint, and she is considered a saint. Another saint by the name of Sai Baba that would do the same thing. He has the same setup. I think he's got at least two or three hospitals in India. They all do services for free, and so all this stuff that we were collecting, a lot of it was used stuff, used equipment. I mean, probably I helped collect over $500,000 worth of used medical equipment to send to India for her hospital. So
Cool.
her Leela, I think that's her name. Her Leela and I would just just do the do, and then finally Amity came in from India and did the tour all across the country from Washington to Washington, and I did. I went on tour with her group and her entourage from city to city, and it was just mind blowing. I didn't do much except just observe. I was like a director or author, just observing everything that was going on. It was just mind blowing. So anyhow, we finished with the tour back in 2003, summer, from May through July, and that's when I ended up in New York. And wow, oh my God, when were in New York, I was just so blown away because the energy there in New York was like no other I've ever felt in my life. No, nowhere, no city, even Los Angeles. I was in Los Angeles I was in Los Angeles. We were in Los Angeles for the tour, and even in Los Angeles, the energy was not the same. It didn't even compare. But anyhow, in Los Angeles, we were there, and I met Yolanda King, Martin Luther King's daughter. And I said, well, and Amachi's birthday, 50th birthday, was that year in September as well. So I said to Yolanda, I said, "Are you going to go to her birthday party in September?" She goes, "Well, I haven't heard about it." I said, "Well, anyhow, I just thought I'd tell you that." So I did. I finished the tour. I went to Texas, worked for a couple of weeks, made enough money, and then I went out to India for a couple of weeks. And sure enough, it was like a conference. They had every day they had lectures, Kids Day, Women's Day, all kinds of lectures going on. And sure enough, Yolanda King ended up doing a lecture for the Women's Day. So that was pretty cool. So anyhow, that's my story. And I'm 50. Now, when I went to, I got to tell you, when I went to India, I was coming back right before, like about a week before I was coming back. Um, I, I, I did. I met this person that I used to be in another lifetime. I used to be part of the Li'i. Do you know who the Li'i are from Hawaii?
It sounds familiar, but you definitely know more about it than I do. But I've heard of it before.
Maybe not much more, but anyhow, the Li'i used to be the royalty that used to run Hawaii years and years ago, until
Okay.
they were taken over by the British, the Japanese, whoever. So anyhow, um, right about a week before I came back, the like in the morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning, I was living in this place that was kind of like a community home type of thing, and I was one of those. Oh my God, why can't I remember this? An activity agent. I would book tours for people and book timeshares, right? So
Okay.
I quit that job, and then and I was living in this community home, and about 4 o'clock in the morning, I hear this really loud in my mind, right? It woke me up. I was like sleeping like no tomorrow. It woke me up. I said, what was that?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to go do a tour because as an activity agent, I could go do all these tours and for free and just experience them, you know." And that's how I was able to do all these tours for for tourism. So anyhow, I got up about 7 o'clock in the morning, started walking down to the pier, which was about a mile away, and I was on the sidewalk, and I felt this huge energy right next to me on my left shoulder, right?
Okay.
And I got- I took like a pause and I stopped and I said, "Who are you?" And this being says to me, "Campanelli." And I could tell he was really tall and big. I said, "Well, how tall are you?" He says, 7'1". I said, "Oh, really?" And that was about the extent of the conversation we had. So I went down to the pier and I did a submarine ride. And come to find out that the tour guide said that there was two whales, that baby whales that were passing by on the way to the Big Island, and I believe that one of them woke me up. I don't know which one, but one of them. And we must have been connected in another life. I don't know, but anyhow, I went back to Sedona. I've lived in Sedona. I've lived in Arizona for over 25 years, and when I first got here, um, I was living before I got here. I was in Sacramento, California, and I was living in this apartment, and I was sleeping. I was like, all of a sudden, I was woken up with. I was like barely waking up. You know how you're half asleep, half awake. You're kind of just dragging.
Yes.
Um, this voice in my mind says, "Go around the corner and buy the blue Ford." I thought it said blue Ford Fairlane. What? Go around the corner and buy the blue Ford Fairlane. I said, okay. So I got up in my pajamas and I walked down about a half a block, and sure enough, there was a blue Ford Fairmont there, and it was for sale. And I had happened to have enough money to buy it. So it was an older car. So I went and knocked on the door. This guy, supposedly claimed that he worked for DMV. He had a new engine put in, blah, blah, blah. I said, I want it. I'll take it. So I gave him the cash right on the spot. He signed the title over to me, and I was already thinking about moving. So I did. I moved. I had another car, a Honda. I think it was a Honda Civic. Oh my God, that car could barely go 55 miles an hour anywhere, right? Much less the freeway. So
Yes.
I gave that car away, and I got in my car, moved out, and went to my family in Grass Valley, and I said, I'm getting ready to go to Arizona. I'm leaving. I'll see you later. Bye. And that day, this is June 8th. June 8th, and it's snowing right in Nevada and in Arizona. So I took off up through Reno into Carson City. All of a sudden, my car goes. It just dies. What's going on? So I had I luckily I had AAA at the time. I had them pick up my car, and they took me into Carson City to this little rinky-dink gas station. I don't even know. It was just like one of those hole in the wall type of things. So
Yes.
the place opens around 9 or 10 o'clock, and you can have your car serviced. I said, okay, fine. So I was in the back seat with a blanket. It was freezing cold, and I said, forget this. I jumped up into the front seat and cranked on my car. It started. Sure enough, it started. Um, so literally, I drove through Death Valley at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't know if my car was going to die again. I didn't know what was going to happen. I just took off right in the middle of the night, middle of the morning, through Death Valley, and finally I ended up in Kingman. I was freezing cold, and there was a rest area, and the sun had just come up about 7 o'clock in the morning. I pulled over, I jumped in the back seat, and I just took a nap for a little while, right? So anyhow, I said, okay. I drove into Flagstaff, and then I said, okay, I'm going to go check out Sedona. So I went down to Sedona because right before I left Sacramento, I went to a couple of expos, and I did some volunteer services for the um, Share International magazine out of Europe, right? So I was helping them man their booth, and they all this stuff about Sedona kept coming up. So I said, okay. I went and bought a map of Sedona, and then I drove into Sedona after this whole um, thing going on with my car and driving to Death Valley. I drove into Sedona, and I looked around. I said, man, I can't even believe this. There's not even hostel here. Do you know what a hostel is? You know what a hostel is, right?
Yes. Yes.
Not even one hostel. And to this day, there's still not a hostel there. I just can't believe it. So, it's one of the biggest tourist cities in the country. Maybe maybe the world. I don't know, but over what 2-3 million people go through there every year, maybe more. I don't know. But I drove through there. Not one hostel in. I said, wow, I just can't believe it. So I drove back up to Flagstaff, and I stayed at one of the oldest hotels there that had a hostel in there, in the hotel, Weatherford Hotel, I think it is. Anyhow, I stayed there. They happened to have a hostel in there. I grabbed something to eat, took a shower, and got some sleep, and then I went and took off back into Sedona. Now, since then, the Weatherford Hotel has refurbished the hostel into hotel rooms, and now it's back to hotel rooms again. So anyhow, and maybe for some reason I was supposed to stay there for, I don't know, maybe in another life I lived there or something, who knows? But anyhow, I went back into Sedona, and I thought I'll drive around, and I'll just hang out for a couple of weeks to for I think I take it back. I think it was for a few days. I'll wait till the full moon, and I think I only had like $26 or $17 in my pocket, and I thought, okay, I'll just hang out, and I went to this place, and I think I read about it in a Rolling Stones magazine. There was a coffee shop in Sedona. You can go there, and they have artists, musicians playing original music there. You can hang out. So that's where I stayed at. I can't remember the name of this place, but I read about it in the Rolling Stone magazine before I started the trip. Right? So anyhow, I did. I played chess, played checkers, drank some sodas, listened to music, just hung out, and anyhow, I went up to the Schlebly Hill where I was camping out at, right, for that was my little spot for the time being. I went in there, I jumped in the back seat. It was full moon in June, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to do a meditation. So I sat down and meditate. Usually I do 2-hour meditations. It depends. So I sat in the back seat. All of a sudden, the door to my car opens up. This guy comes into my car, sits next to me. Hey, do you want to have sex? What? I was just like, I said, just very calmly, quietly. First of all, I'm in the middle
Uh-oh.
I'm in the middle of my meditation. And I'm in the middle of a meditation. Second of all, I'm not gay. Third of all, you got to leave now. So he did. He left and finished up my meditation. Now that I thought, now towards the end of the meditation, I figured out, well, it's cold in Flagstaff, it's hot in Phoenix. I'll just stay here. So the next day I went out, and I had literally four jobs lined up and a place to live the very next day. I kid you not. So
Yeah.
that was where I stayed. I did all kinds of meditation circles, drumming circles. I mean, all kinds of stuff you can do. All kinds of readings. Before I got there, I was in England. I was going to school at Texas Christian University, and I did an internship in England, a study abroad program, an internship in theater, and then I also did um, what was it called? I can't remember. Yeah, I took some classes, and I did an assistant directorship for one of the schools in England, at Regent's College, right? Um, so I was at Regent's College. I did an internship there, and now the thing about the plays in England was that they use a lot of lighting. If you ever watch their movies and their plays, they're notorious for using a lot of lighting, and they also usually have really good music in their movies and in their theater plays, which is amazing. It's just like some of the best music you can ever come across. They have in the theaters, in their plays, in the shows. So anyhow, I went there, And while I was there, I went and had a chart. I went to one of the astrology shop there, and I had what you astrology and oh man, I'm just anyhow. They did a chart for me, a computerized chart, and they go, "Do you want to have a reading done for that too? A printout for that?" I said, "No, just give me a book that I can read, that I can learn it for myself." Well, they go, "Well, they gave me a book by Debbie Kempton Smith, Astrologer's Guide to or Secrets to Astrology." I can't remember the name of the title, but anyhow, but Debbie Kimpton Smith, and I read that book. I was, and I went back to Texas Christian University, finished up my last semester, and graduated. But before there, I worked in their student activities department, and I started to read this book and started doing sample readings for everyone. Right, I was doing readings for everybody there, and the pretty soon they were calling me Silver Tongue or something like that. I don't know what, but whatever. So anyhow, I started doing readings, and by the time I got to Sedona, moved to Sedona, there was a group that I started doing readings for people there, and then I had a group. There was a couple in Sedona that psychics or and readers for the Psychic Readers Network or something like that. And you literally you had to fill out an application, you had to have references, and all my friends were going, of course, he can do really good readings. Of course, so they hired me. They taught me how to do tarot card readings, and I was reading, and you call a number, and they come in, and they start sending you calls to do readings for people. There's probably about 30, 35, 40 people in the group, and we would meet about every week or so. And at the time, I had before that, I had tripped off the roof in, in Village of Oak Creek, right next to Sedona. It's a suburb of Sedona, if you want to call it that. So anyhow, I was doing roofing, and I tripped off the roof and literally broke both my heels. So I was in cast, dual cast on both my feet, right? And the only time that people, anybody breaks both their feet like that is when a pilot crashes, right? So I guess my plane must have crashed, and I had to learn a new profession, and I couldn't be a pilot anymore. But that's besides the point. So anyhow, um, I would go and log into my reading thing, and I would get all these phone calls, and there was probably me and another person, because the most that you can do a reading for is an hour. So you log in, you get a call, and you talk to that person, blah 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 blah, and after the level or the period of an hour, literally hang you up, so you can't talk anymore. Anyhow, so anyhow, I was one of two people that would be able to talk all night long for at least 3 or 4 or 5 times in the week. I would talk for at least an hour in my readings. So anyhow, um, after all that, I got I got I was I was I think I was still no I was living in Cottonwood, Arizona, and then I moved to Sedona with what I call my two wives and my 4 kids. I moved into a bedroom, like I was renting a bedroom, and there was literally two women there, and between both of them, they had 4 kids. Oh my God, that was an interesting saga, but that's besides the point. So anyhow, after that, right during that same time period, I ended up I had right before I moved to Sedona, I was in Cottonwood, and do you know who Sai Baba is?
I've heard of that name, and I've heard of the name, and I looked him up, and I know they said there's one from 1918, so I don't think he's that one, but I've heard that
No, it
name
is.
for sure.
They're okay.
It's
They're
the
one
same
in the
guy.
same. Maybe you didn't understand, but they're one in the same. There's Shirley Baba, who was born, I believe he was born in 1918, but anyhow, that was his first incarnation, and he came here to like lay down the foundation for the other two incarnations that are going on, and then he came back as Sai Baba, who's truth, such as Sai Baba, meaning truth. Um, I can't remember what Sai Baba. I don't know what Sai means, but Satya means truth. So it was the journey of truth, if you want to call it that. And now, well, he died back in, I believe, 2011, 2008. I think it was 2011. He died, but he's considered a cosmic avatar. Literally, he is conscious, and that's how you know the difference between the different the different saints and masters. They have an awareness to a certain level, and the more they're aware, the higher evolved, the more evolved they are. Sai Baba happens to be the conscious of everything that's going on throughout the universe, not just our planet, not just our city, not just our state, not just this solar system, not just this galaxy, throughout the whole universe. All right. So literally, he was able to bring back to life several times. I don't know, 5, 10 times, at least 5 or 10 times or so. He brought back to life people that were dead, that were literally dead for 2 or 3 or 4 days, 5 days. I don't know how long, but they were clinically dead. He would massage them, breathe life into them, and then they would wake up and do whatever they do. Right? So it's like that. So anyhow, Sai Baba came to me in a dream. I was sleeping in Cottonwood right after I had broken these two heels, and I literally had to crawl around because I couldn't walk. So I had to crawl around to go to the bathroom, to get a shower, to or take a bath, I guess, and to eat and whatever else. So um, I I was sleeping one night, and in the morning he came to me in a dream. He Now it was interesting because in this dream I it was at my elementary school, and I'm assuming that this signified that I was still a grade school student in life or whatever. So I was, and the reason I knew it was my elementary school is because the sidewalk was really high, and the sidewalks where I went to school, elementary school at, were really high. So I walked past him, and he was sitting down in a lotus position with his back against the wall, against the wall of the school. And you know what a lotus position is, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you cross your legs and you're sitting down. So anyhow, I walked past him, and then I walked back, and I sat in front of him in a lotus position, right? And I unfolded my arms like, like to receive in front of me, and I said, when may I come and visit you? And then he does the same thing to me and says, in May. And I said, okay. Well, actually, I didn't even say okay. And all of a sudden, right when he did that, you know what vibhuti is?
No.
Vibhuti
Yep,
is, you
I
know,
I
whenever,
do actually.
what,
But go
what's
ahead.
vibhuti? Go ahead and enlighten us. What is vibhuti?
Well, the root actually means enlightened one, so it refers to the quality of a person when they have achieved a certain kind of enlightened consciousness.
Okay, well, just to let you know, vibhuti is sacred ash. It's literally in East India. They literally burn the dung of cows. Yeah, you know what dung is, right? Well,
Yeah,
right. Okay. Well, they burn it, and then they take the ashes, the from that, and they make it sacred. They purify it and do some kind of ceremonies, and they make it sacred. Well, Sai Baba never really did that. When he did what he would do when he was in India, he would just move his hand, wave his arm around, and open it up, and all of a sudden this ash, this sacred ash, vibhuti, sacred ash, would come out of his hand, and he would give it to people. Whenever he and now he used to have birthday parties where millions of people, literally about two, I think, was it 1 or 2 million, at least a million, but I think even 2 million people would show up, literally physically show up to his birthday party in India. Who do you know that's ever had a birthday bash that big?
Nobody for sure.
Exactly. Not
Jesus.
the most famous person in the world. And this guy, he never left India except twice. One to
Sai
go
Baba.
Side Bob once to go to Africa and wants to go to Spain. Now he visited Spain and he also visited with John. I believe visited with John of God, and he was
I've heard of
and
that
I don't
person.
yeah, I don't know what's going on with all that. It could be a political scam. I don't know, but I can't argue one way or another. But anyhow, I believe he visited John of God, and he endorsed John of God and the healing that stuff that he used to do there. But anyhow, he would produce this vibhuti, and I think once or twice a year he would go and just wave his hand into an urn, or vase or something, and produce mounds and mounds and mounds of vibhuti, so that they could take it, package it up, and sell it from the ashram, right? Like 50 cents for a bag. That's about maybe half a pound or something like that. And people will use it to they put it on the third eye. They take some of it internally for healing, for meditation, all kinds of stuff. Anyhow, they used to call me the Vibhuti man, right? Because I always used to have Vibhuti in my pocket. I had this little metal container, and I would always have a food. And it was funny because when I was in Hawaii, I used to work for the activity agency. I was at a booth, and people would come up, and this was especially true with the Mormons. I would get these Mormon guys, and they're supposed to have their little vial on them, right, at all times, because if they're initiated into the, I can't remember what it is, but once they're initiated, they're supposed to carry this little vial. and, and just about every time that I would talk to these guys, and this was regularly, like every week, there was some Mormon or guy or another. I would go, you guys, I go, you guys are more. They would tell me they're Mormon, all right. And so I go, well, do you have your bio on you? They go, no. And these were usually younger guys, in their late teens, early 20s or whatever. You have your bio on you? No. I go, here. So I'd break out my vibhuti container, and I'd give them some vibhuti. Here's some vibhuti. This is sacred ash. This is for healing. This is for meditation, whatever you want to use it for. And I can almost guarantee you those kids, those guys never forgot their bio again. I can almost guarantee you 100%. Anyhow, so they used to call me the vibhuti guy. I was in India. I was in India for almost 2 months. I think at least a month and a half, almost 2 months. I came back, and as soon as I came back, and right before I left the two wives and the four kids, I got rid of everything. My car, sold my car, and just put everything in storage and took off. And then I came back, and I told the wives, sorry, but I'm moving to Flagstaff. I'm going to school at NAU, right? Northern Arizona University. So I went to Northern Arizona University. Literally inside 3 days, I think it was 3 days. I think I had already started the process before I left, but inside 3 days, I was enrolled. I was up at They gave me a dorm to stay in, and I was just waiting for school to start in August, right? The middle of August. So I went to grandmother. I went to visit my grandmother for one more time before she passed away a few years later. But I went to visit her and hung out with her for a couple of days. I don't know, 2 or 3 days, and I came back, and then I started. I got ready to go to school at NAU. Now, before I left India, it was amazing because when I went there, I went to a ashram called Whitefield in right near. I think the city was called Whitefield, but his ashram was right next to that. Right. I went there, and there was probably about 5,000 people per darshan every morning and every evening, or after later part of the day. He would do a darshan he would do like blessings. He'd walk around to everybody and talk to people, give them booty. Sometimes he would manifest literally blue diamond rings or earrings. You ever seen anything like that before?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
You haven't? Wham! Have you ever seen any blue diamonds or green diamonds ever? Well, anyhow, when I was there, I literally people would show me their rings and their earrings, and they were either blue diamond or green diamond. I don't think there any of them were ever regular diamond, clear crystal clear diamonds. But anyhow, they would show me these, and I would go, "Wow, that's pretty amazing." So anyhow, before I left, oh, I went to Whitefield. I would sing all these bhajans or call and response songs with people. I do readings for people, all kinds of stuff. I'd go walk around, hang out, and then about 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, we went. We all got in buses and went to his main ashram in Puttaparthi. Puttaparthi is like I believe central India, and immediately after we got there, about a few days after we got there, there's about 65,000 people there. Literally, 65, over 65,000 people there. If you can imagine, all these people were living in all these little bunks and all these little places, and I don't think I ever seen one fist fight there ever. People were arguing here and there. The cats and the dogs were arguing, but I don't think I ever seen one fist fight. And they were all like together like sardines, right?
Yes.
No fights, not one, if you can imagine that. So now I was I literally go to the darshan every day, and then one day I got up early in the morning and I go Sai Baba, I'm only going to do this once, and if because you had to line up. There's the main outskirts of the mandir or the temple, and then inside the temple was where the real magic occurred. What you would call the mandir, or not mandir. I can't remember what it was. Anyhow, there was the main.
I'm hearing some background or feedback or something weird.
I am because I don't have anything else going on.
Earlier I heard some voices in the back that sounded similar, Wham, to when that psychic was on, but I don't know what that was. It was just like, I don't know, strange, some bleed through. But
Maybe
you're
it was
coming through clear.
Maybe
You're coming through clear, but there is some weird little background stuff, Andrew. I was just trying to figure it out for sure. But yeah, it's very interesting that you've gone to these places and sharing these experiences with us. And one thing that I want to talk about also is I know in your book you have the Christ and the Paranormal section. And so just to give you a summary of what happened to me, and I don't want to go forever about it, but at 17 I had testicular cancer. And a few years later, I went through chemo and all that crap. It was a real blast, let me tell you. Then a few years later, my dad died, and I started to see UFOs and beings of light and different kinds of beings. And it was like that suffering of losing a testicle or whatever and going through all that suffering opened my senses up. And to this day, I still see weird stuff in the heavens. But I know you mentioned Christ in your book and crosses of light. But these beings of light, I've seen them with my naked eye, completely sober. I've seen them, partying too, but completely not on anything. But either or, I've seen them. but the beings of I've seen two leave my house down here in Florida. I was listening to the Bible on a DVD, like some scripture thing on a DVD with music or something weird. Something told me to go outside. I went outside and I turned towards the house and saw two energy beings like they had been in the house, like they had came out the roof and just flew straight in the heavens. And that day I was not on anything, completely sober, nothing. And I wonder if it was my dad, or I've heard so many different things.
Well, are you talking orbs, or did they actually have some kind of a physical attribute?
Physical attributes, like humanoid, like legs and arms, and I've seen orbs too, though. Yeah, but these particular ones I've seen full bodied, like glowing beings of light.
Now, have you ever imagined yourself being a not preacher, minister, the for the guys for the Catholic religion. I don't know why I'm having hard.
Exorcist.
Not
Exorcist.
no a minister, one of their
Oh,
preachers.
Priests,
No, uh,
monks.
monk. Well, maybe a monk. Maybe that's better. Anyhow,
yeah.
have you ever imagined yourself being a monk in another life?
Well, I mean, it's a possibility. I've lived like that for sure. You know, a monk like, kind of like a
I
hermit.
typically a lot of those beings that have had those types of lifestyles in other lifetimes, they come in with their eyes open more so than most people do, and they experience these types of things. Now, is your have you ever had an astrology reading done?
I've had someone do a chart or something. I'm a Capricorn. That's where I first met you. You had mentioned something about Capricorns in chat during a show,
Yeah.
and
Oh
that's when
yeah,
I said, okay.
your life is getting ready to change. Like it may actually calm down more than it is now, and not that it's a bad thing or a good thing, but that's just where you'll be at. But if you have Pisces in your chart, which I have a feeling you do, then that would be a reason for having all this stuff going on in your life. Usually, Pisces people are really psychic and they experience all these types of paranormal events. Now, and I got to say, for those people that want to go on, I have a lot of these stories in my latest book that has just come out, Andrew Aloha's Paranormal Experiences. I know it might be a little bit pricey right now, but if you, even the book cover itself is activated so that anybody that's near that book will be literally getting healing energies coming into their bodies, into their systems. And there's pictures inside the book with the same properties. If they just look at those pictures and have them showing in front of them, literally energies are emanating from those pictures and the book cover to help people heal in ways that's good for them. So, but anyhow, it's like that.
And I know you have some sections. Christ will appear within 10 years. And what are crosses of light? What is that exactly? Crosses of light.
Okay, the crosses of light. Um, hang on. Well, let remember that question right now because I want to finish this story with side
Okay.
because it's pretty miraculous.
Okay. Okay. Go
So,
ahead. Go ahead.
I was in India and I was 7 o'clock in the morning, and you had to get in lines. Certain lines would get chosen, and usually they drew a number, and they would go into the middle of the temple, and that's where the real magic was going on. And what would happen? It would all sit down, the men on one side, the women on another, and then Sai Baba would sit on his throne. Literally, it was like a burgundy texture type of a chair. He would sit down, and we would start singing songs. So my line, and I said, Sai Baba, if you don't pick my line, sorry, I'm not going to do this again because I'm not going to wake up early this morning. I'm not a morning person, right? So I got in line. And sure enough, my line got chosen. So we went and sat down, and I was towards the back of the group of the all these people sitting down, all of where the guys are at, and I could barely see them, through like people. There's people's heads because I'm so short. I could barely see them through the guys' heads, and and we were singing, and we were singing loud. There's no way, and I wasn't even talking louder than this. I was literally whispering. I looked at him and I said, Sai Baba, don't you ever get tired of this? And he just shakes his head. No. He didn't say no, but he just shook his head, answering my question. I knew he was answering my question. So I just started laughing. But anyhow, towards the end of my tour in India, and for that tour, I went to get in line, going to, they have you get into all these lines, big lines, and then the security guard or Savador, they let you in and you go sit down. Well, at the time, I had broken heels, and I couldn't even. I was wearing sandals because I couldn't even wear my tennis shoes because there was pins into my heels and they were rubbing my tennis shoes. So I would go whenever I'd get let in, I'd go sit down, and it was brilliant because I would sit down and I could see everything. It was like an author's dream. I could see Sai Baba walking around, giving people the booty, talking to them, blah blah blah, and then he would select certain groups to go in and have a personal interview with them, go and talk with them. So anyhow, this one day, I went in to get in line, and the security guard goes, "No, you can't go in. You have to go to the other side, to the front." What? So I went to the front, and I got in line, and then that security guard goes, "No, you got to go to the back." Oh man, Jeffrey, if you never seen me piss before, that day you definitely would have. But anyhow, I went back again to the back, and again the saber dog goes, "No, you have to go to the front." And I did. I went on. "No, you guys are being prejudiced. You're blah 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 blah, and you know you're being president of America, and you're not being very nice. Blah blah blah." I just went off on this guy, literally, and I yelled, and everybody in the temple could hear me. I know it, because all of a sudden everything got quiet, right? Towards the end of that little blow up, which I was happy about, but that was a definite sign to these people that if you're going to be throwing rocks, you can't be living in glass houses, right? So it was like that. So the next day I went back, and I went to the front, and that's where all the VIPs, all the students, all the important people per se go in, and they did. They let me in. I went and sat down, and the thing is, that was not good, because and one of the messages for me was that I was no longer considered just a regular devotee of Sai Baba or whatever. I was now considered VIP, and now I was supposed to go through the front. So anyhow, I went and sat down in my spot, and Sai Baba, usually he'd go out and bless everybody, and then he'd come to all of us who were crippled and old people and whatever else, sitting in the middle on these benches. He'd come over and he'd bless everybody. He'd wave his hand and he would bless everybody. Well, this day he didn't do that. I said, oh no. I said, so he comes up, he looks at me, directly at me, and he points his pointing finger at me. Starts waving his finger at me. I said, oh no, I don't know what that means, but that's not good. I don't think that's good. So I went back, and I started getting sick with pneumonia and the flu and bronchitis. I don't know what, all the stuff. Pretty soon, the whole temple, everybody in the temple was sick. Thousands and thousands of people were sick of this virus stuff going on. So, and it took me about 3 months to finally get back. So about a couple of days later, I said, I'm going home. I went ahead and came back early, like a week or two early. And I got in line, and they go, well, we'll put you on a waiting list. So, and if there's a spot open, then we'll send you back. So they did. They sent me back. I came back to Flagstaff, and pretty soon everybody in Flagstaff started getting sick. Pretty soon, the whole United States was. So this COVID virus thing that they're talking about, this has been going on for years, and I don't know that it was man-made at that time, but this has been going on for a lot longer than that. But anyhow, me and right before I started NAU, me and this guy, we went to the Grand Canyon. I was still in my two casts. We went to the Grand Canyon. I hopped around there, took a bunch of pictures, and then we went to Harbin Hot Springs. Have you ever heard of that? Harbin Hot Springs is a
no, I haven't.
It's a place out in Northern California. It's like a nudist colony type of thing. We went there, and I got there, and I jumped into one of the hot springs, and then I noticed there was a pool in the back. So I went and jumped in the pool. It was freezing cold water, and then I went and jumped into the hot spring. I did that 3 times, Jeffrey, 3 times, and then the last time that I jumped back into the hot springs, there was an Indian maiden, like Native American spirit there. I was underwater. She looked at me. I looked at her, and my eyes kind of opened up, and she just looked at me and started laughing because she it was kind of humorous. So anyhow, I came back and started school at NAU. Now, in reference to your story about the Christ, I was in the Air Force years ago, and I was getting ready to get out. I think I was 2 months. It was April 1985, I believe it when this was. Um, I went out. I was with two women, two bankers, two female bankers. They were pretty cute, and of all things, when not only one woman but two women, and then they were bankers. When do you go partying with bankers? And to this day, I don't think I've ever partied with a banker ever since. But anyhow, we were out at the river in Victorville, California, right? We were out there, and we were sitting on the back of my hatchback. I had a Toyota Corolla hatchback that I had fixed up. We were back in the back of it, sitting on the hatchback on the on the bench there, and we were drinking wine coolers. Now, Jeffrey, I think maybe I had drank one wine cooler, if even that. I don't even think more than that. We were just sitting there talking, laughing and talking, and all of a sudden, this man, he looked like a Spaniard individual, tall,
Yes.
tall guy, easily over 6 foot tall. I'm sure of it. He had golden, short, blonde hair. He had he just looked really brilliant. I don't think he had a shirt on. He had brilliant blue eyes. It looked like, and we were, me and these two women are sitting there talking. I look up. He goes, "The Christ will appear within 10 years," and this all took place like within 10 to 15 seconds, right? I look down, ah ha ha, I'm laughing, ah ha ha. Look back, who is this guy? I look back up, and he's gone. And I stopped laughing. I looked around. There was nowhere he could run and hide. No, not even a bush that fast, not even close. And I kissed the girls goodnight. They went home, and then I had already forgot about that whole incident. I thought, and I didn't even think twice about it. I completely forgot about it. 5 years later, I moved to Texas, and I was going to school again at Texas Christian University, and I started going to a meditation group. I believe it is. I want to say Grand Prairie, but anyhow, it was like at least 45-minute drive, and I would go there, and we would meditate for 2 hours at a time, hour and a half, 2 hours at a time, and then one day before the meditation, one of the guys came in. One of the group members comes in. "You're not going to believe what happened. What happened?" Well, this friend of a friend, this couple went and they're driving in Dallas, and they pick up this hitchhiker, and they're like a Christian couple. They never pick up hitchhikers. They pick up this guy. He's wearing a completely white outfit and white robe, and he's sitting in the back. He says, "The Christ will appear within 5 years." Disappears right there on the spot, and it blows this couple away. They literally crashed on the long side of the road, which that may still be in the books or not. I don't know if it's in the records or not, but literally there was a record of that made. And when he told us that story, right afterwards, it all came back to me. I remembered that whole saga, the whole thing that happened that night while in Victorville, California. I go, wow, that's amazing. I remembered that. So anyhow, I started attending all. There's a guy by the name of Benjamin Krim. You know who that is?
Yep.
I've heard of him. Yes, they've
Yeah.
sent me some books before.
Okay. Well, anyhow, when I went to England,
Maitreya or whatever.
Maitreya Buddha. When I went to England, I went to his group. I started going to his lectures. I started going to some major meditations that they were doing, and in that process, I ran across. They had a meditation conference in San Francisco area, which I went to. I think I went to it 2 or 3 times, and at one or two of these conferences or whatever, I ran across these crosses of light. And what happened was, I believe Maitreya would do whatever he does, and there would be crosses of light that would appear in the bathroom windows of all these places. There was whole community where people would go feel the healing energies, and they would go and pray to them, and there's whole communities, with gangs and all this stuff that were healed from these crosses of lights being in these communities. And when I held one of these crosses of light, I would put my hand on over it, and you could feel the emanating energies coming from it. Right? You feel the healing energies coming from it. And there was a group in San Francisco where I used to meditate a group that I used to meditate with, and some crosses of light appeared right next to their building where they used to meditate. We used to do the meditation there, and I went there a few years ago, and the couple that used to live there were where they were the crosses of light appeared, and the garage door of these windows moved. So I don't know if the crosses of light are still there or not, but anyhow, um, Benjamin Krim would go all over the world, especially even to the Japanese. And I'm not sure about the Chinese, but the Japanese really loved him over there, and he would go all over the country. I don't know if he went to Canada. I think he may have went to Mexico. I can't remember. But anyhow, I attended a few of these lectures where you talk about Maitreya Buddha, the crosses of light, meditation, all this stuff. And when I went to England to do the internship, I went to his house and to his group, the first group in the world to do transmission meditation. I, I was
Okay.
I went there and I meditated with his group for about 2.5 months. So when I came back, I graduated from Texas Christian University, and then I went. My uncle let me stay with him in West Texas. So I stayed there for about 6 months or so, and I would literally sit down and meditate for 3 to 6 hours every day. Every day, I would sit there and meditate. And while I was doing that, now they say whenever you meditate with a transmission meditation group, wherever it's at, as long as it's still doing the same thing, same place, same time, every week, every day, or whatever, you could stay connected to that group and meditate with them. So that's what I did. I stayed connected with the group in England, the the mother lode of them all, and I've stayed connected with that group since. And now what I do is I do a regular meditation every Wednesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Arizona time. And you can go, and I've done an introductory video to explain the process. The biggest thing about meditating with the group that I facilitate is that you need to stay grounded. You need to ground yourself with that group, or you need to ground yourself with the earth. Otherwise, you will literally go crazy. And I have literally seen two people go crazy from not doing this correctly. And that's how powerful this is. They didn't ground themselves, and I went back and talked to them, and they said, yeah, they literally were in a psych ward for a year before they can come back and start doing. One of them was a veteran transmission meditationer, and she literally had to take a year off because literally she was in a psych ward or whatever. And then she finally came back. And the other guy here in Flagstaff, I taught him how to do it, and he's I don't know. I haven't seen him in a while. I don't even know if he's still alive. But he literally told me he was going crazy because but he didn't understand why. But I knew why. But anyhow, it's like that. And the meditation called transmission meditation, not to be confused with transcendental meditation. And I have been to Iowa when I went on tour with Amachi the Hugging Saint. Right before we got to Iowa, I had Maharishi, not Maharaji, Maharishi, appeared to me right before we got to Iowa, and he didn't say anything. He just smiled, and then when we got to Iowa, I went to the university, or Maharishi University, which is nearby. Went over there, and they gave me a tour. They fed me lunch, and then they showed me the big auditorium where they do transcendental meditation. And they told me that people would levitate, all kinds of paranormal stuff would be happening there. So anyhow, and I think Maharishi probably would want me to go to school there. If I did, I would go. I think they have a big program with the film industry there. I'm not sure. I'm almost sure they do. But anyhow, um, transmission meditation is a service is as a group meditation. You have to have at least three people to meditate with the group. And then after the group meditates together long enough, then a master or a saint will overshadow the group to work with them. And what happens is the group you say the great invocation, usually a message by Maitreya Buddha years ago in the 70s and 80s. Benjamin Krem would be overshadowed by Maitreya when he'd go do these lectures, and Maitreya Buddha would give a message through him. So, and that's not to be confused with channeling. Overshadowing, I think, is a lot more deeper set, if you want to call it that, than channeling. But literally, he would say all these messages through Benjamin Krem. And now, a lot of times when people channel, they'll have dark forces. They'll be channeling the dark forces. And the way you can tell the difference between the two is that when people channel and they have a really deep voice, the voice is not the same as the person channeling the being or the entity in this case, then that's usually an entity, a dark force person. But anyhow, my Benjamin Krem did, or Maitreya Buddha did easily over 100 messages through Maitreya Buddha. I mean, through Benjamin Krem, and then they go into meditation or whatever. So anyhow, for this meditation, usually a message is played, and if you're really sensitive to the energies, which you probably would be, you could feel the energies pouring through, the Christ energies pouring through, and then we do the great evocation, and then again with my particular group, you want to ground yourself, otherwise you could go crazy. That's how powerful this is, and then you go to a Zen style of meditation. Now,
hey, Andrew, what do you know about that great invocation? I've come across that. Do you know any history about that? It's pretty interesting.
I was just gonna go into that, but you beat me to it. See how psychic you are. But that's the part. But anyhow, when you say the first part of the great invocation, from the point of light within the mind of God, blah blah blah, you connect at the third eye with a ray of white light, or silver if you want. But usually I use a ray of white light with you and at least two other people that are doing transmission meditation. When you say the second stanza, from the point of love, blah, 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 you connect again with a ray of white light at the heart chakra. And then after that, you just go into Zen style of meditation. And what it is what I found, one of the things about becoming a master, becoming a saint, is one of the final frontiers, one of the final steps, becoming a master, becoming a saint, is that you surrender. Literally, you surrender everything. Your mind, your body, your friends, your family, your material possessions, everything about you, you surrender to the universe. So you can become one with the universe. That's the most powerful that you can ever be. How many people do you know that can be more powerful than the universe? Nobody, right? So you surrender yourself, everything about yourself. You become one with the universe, and then you go through whatever you're going to be going through afterwards. Well, anyhow, when you do this meditation, you allow the energies to flow from the earth, from the center of the earth's core, in through your body, out of the top of your head, and connect with the cloud. You can connect with the cloud at the level of the Earth's atmosphere. Now, the great invocation was provided to, I believe, Benjamin Krem. I don't know if he's the first one that ever had it, but it's actually a prayer, long, a prayer that's huge in a different language, but it's been consolidated, shortened, so that people can memorize it and understand it and work with it in the here and the now, right? So it's like that. So when you say the great invocation, there's a whole lineage, there's a whole heritage behind it that you're helping to bring in. I'm assuming that you're helping to bring in all the masters, all the sages, and all. Now, I'm not 100%, but it's my understanding that all the masters, all the saints, all the angels do this meditation. So when you're doing this meditation, you're joining with hundreds, thousands, millions, I don't know how many beings out there in the universe that are coming in to do this meditation with you, and not just the people physically there with you. Now, Jeffrey, one of the things that happened in 2000, I've been doing this meditation, online meditation. I call it on the air, but online meditation since I believe 2015. I just sat down and I thought, well, I don't. People will just join me with it, and what I would do is I would do the meditation in sync with different groups that I had been meditating with in the past years. San Francisco group, the Berkeley group, the Los Angeles group, the London group. So I never really meditated physically with the Colorado group, which is another big group, but I would still hook up with them anyhow. And then there's another big group in New York, but I never actually connected with them or meditated with them. But anyhow, back in 2015, I just started doing these meditations, and not really on my own. Even though I was physically by myself, I would just link up and I would be plugged in. And when you're plugged in, you could sit down and meditate for an hour, literally an hour. You can feel the Christ energy pouring through if you're doing it correctly and you're focused. And literally an hour will go by and it'll feel like 5 minutes or less. You're going, wow, it's already an hour. And that's how powerful this is. It just takes you into a new dimension, it seems like. So anyhow, around 2015, I was living in Tucson, Arizona, and Paul Walker. Do you know who Paul Walker is?
That's an actor that died
Years ago in an accident with some guy.
Bad car accident. Yeah, he was in Fast and the Furious.
Yep, some guy.
Yeah.
I believe he was the first one, but right after he died, he came to me and he asked me if he could join the group. I thought, okay, this is weird, but sure, why not? Of course, you don't even have to ask. You can just join the group. I said, so he did, and then Joan Rivers, and then Philip Seymour, and then all these beings, Elvis Presley, even Saddam Hussein and Hitler have joined the group. All these beings, I don't know, probably over 100 very famous people have come to join the group. For whatever reason, family and friends have joined it. All kinds of people have joined it. And so whenever we're doing this meditation on every Wednesday night, it's not just me and anybody that's physically out in there. And I get people from all over the world that join in the group and meditate with me. But I also get all these spirit beings, including the Prince of Peace, which I believe is Jesus, the Spirit of Peace and Equilibrium. Now one of the beings that has joined years ago, I was in Sedona. I believe it was 2016. 2006. I was in Sedona meditating. All of a sudden, this being, large energy, right over my left shoulder. I could feel him come in, and that person come in, and I said, "Who are you?" He said, "The spirit of the age of Aquarius." Have you ever heard of the spirit of the age of Aquarius?
Me, no. I've heard of the Age of Aquarius, but not the spirit. Well, the spirit, there's a song. That's about all I know.
I know, right? Well, anyhow, this was the first time I had ever heard of the spirit of the age of Aquarius. And then also the spirit of the golden age has come to me, and they joined the group as well. But anyhow, later on, I was in Tucson meditating, and I had this guy. I had a channeling show. I used to be a radio show host on Blog Talk Radio. I had a psychic show. relationship show, a channeling show, a music show, Andrew Aloha Live, which was a show where I interviewed people from all over the world, people that had been on CNN, the Oprah Winfrey Show, History Channel, coast to coast, all kinds of places, and some people from India, from Malaysia, from Canada, from England, all these different places. They would come on the show and we would talk, blah blah blah. So anyhow, um, I had this guy that we were doing the channeling show. He was going to come in and do a channeling, right? I had met him at some expo in California, and I said, "Well, why don't you come on and do the channeling show?" He said, "Okay." Uh, I want to say Israel Hurtado, I believe his name was. But anyhow, right before we did the show, I had this being come to me again, and then come to find out that this being, the spirit of the age of Aquarius, is also Prema Baba. Now, Sai Baba and Shruti Baba are first two incarnations of a threefold incarnation life for these Babas. The last one, by the name of Prema Baba, is already supposedly here. He once Sai Baba died in 2011, he he said, and he told his people, "I'm going to come back, and I'm going to be called Prema Baba, blah blah blah. All this stuff is going to happen, right?" Well, I want to say that he's 11 years old, and he's living in India now, and he's already doing miracles, from what I understand. Um, but I don't believe, and I may be wrong, I don't believe that he's completely in his power or in his full body yet. I don't think that, like it talks about in the Bible, at the age of 12, you determine whether you're going to lead a spiritual life or just lead a mundane life. Well, he's not. That's probably not going to happen till next year, is my guess. And so I believe next year he's going to be coming into his full power. And that now, when I had this conversation with him, with Prema Baba, back in Tucson years ago, 2015, I believe it was, um, I it just hit me like a rock. Well, I thought it was the spirit of the age of Aquarius. Well, come to find out, him and Prema Baba are one and the same. They're the same being. I said, "Well, are you Prema Baba?" He said, "Yes." And so anyhow, we established that I'm going to help him ground and and do what he's supposed to do here on Earth. And apparently, assumably, I was an Essene. Do you know, back when Jesus, right before Jesus was here? Do you know what an Essene is?
I've heard of the term
Well,
scene.
assumably, an Essene is like a monk that did the groundwork and the preparations for Jesus to come here when he did. And I was assumably one of these Essenes that helped Jesus come in. Well, since I've already got experience, and it goes to say that now I'm like another scene, per se, if you want to call it that, and I'm helping you prepare the groundwork for Prema Baba. So, and I believe, like I said, I believe Prema Baba is probably going to come into his full power, and he'll have to. And in order for that to happen, I believe he's not of age yet, but at the age of 12, he'll be allowed to accept his mission here on Earth as Prema Baba. Is what I'm understanding. So anyhow, I believe he's going to come to the United States. Um, I believe he's going to do a lot of traveling. Assumably, he's supposed to be married and have two kids, if I remember right, um, further down the road. But now, one of the things about the Day of Declaration, which has to do with Maitreya Buddha, with the Christ coming here, is that and you can read about all of this in a lot of the Benjamin Krim books, and he explains a lot of this stuff. Alice Bailey. Do you know who Alice Bailey is?
I've heard of Alice Bailey.
Yes.
I've read several of her books. I believe esoteric healing is where I got the information from. But esoteric healing, I believe, is where I figured out when the golden age is supposed to start. Now, it's my understanding that the golden age and the age of Aquarius are going to be officially full-fledged 100% energy in 2025. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it, right? So, but I believe we're already completely energetically in the age of Aquarius, and also the golden age. Now, last year, and I can't remember where when, and I don't know if I wrote this down or not. I probably should have, and I didn't. But I was shown the center of the universe. There's a map of this of um, depiction of this. I can't remember the group, but there's literally a depiction of the universe, how it looks like in its perspective, and then there's the center of the universe, which is the Godhead, God's head, right? Well,
Yes.
I have stayed connected to all that for years, and last year I was shown and this is how visionaries work. Visionaries, if you talk to them, they will have a vision. Visionaries, when they operate, they usually have some kind of a vision of something or another. Like that's the same way you communicate to animals. The animal communicators, they speak to animals with visions, with pictures of things. Well, the visionaries, that's the same way they operate. They get pictures, and then they implement them in whatever perspective that they're supposed to, or they have to, or they do. So anyhow, I was shown this vision of the center of the universe becoming gold, like completely gold, like gold light. And I didn't really understand it at first, and I didn't understand what was going on. It was kind of strange to me, but eventually I'm assuming, I'm understanding that that's when literally the golden age began for our solar system. That's what I understood. So anyhow, I've come out with a course to help people understand a lot of this, to help people with meditation practices, um, prayer practices. Prayer is talking to God, Goddess. Meditation is listening to God, Goddess. And then, according to Sai Baba, there's the best way, and the fastest and easiest way to become enlightened, to become a master, is through prayer, meditation, listening to spiritual inspirational works, um, mantra, uh, mantras, affirmations, and reading spiritual inspirational works, and then also through service. And so when I do this course with people, I walk them through. I literally hold their hands and work with them in meditation, doing spiritual practices that will align themselves up not only with their personalities, their egos, but with their souls, and even beyond that, their higher selves beyond that, so that they can start getting in doing the service, the teachings that the practices that they're supposed to be doing, so that even if they don't become enlightened per se in this lifetime, or masters or saints in this lifetime, they'll be prepared for the next lifetime, or whenever they'll become enlightened. So it's called the Ascended Citizen Journey course, which is again teaching people how to become ascended citizens, which is again a person being in your own power, so that you can be of service not only to yourself, to your family, your friends, your city, your state, your country, your planet, the animals, the mineral kingdom, the angel kingdom, whoever, whatever, but to the universe as well. So it's like that.
I'm trying to see if I heard me echoing when I talked earlier for some reason. Did you hear that any wham, an echo from me?
Well, I didn't hear an echo. It sounds like there's like a power saw going on in the
I
back.
know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I hear echoing going on from when you're earlier when you were quiet, but now I don't hear it. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It sounded like me talking into your ears twice over, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, I heard some background stuff. I don't know what it is. I'm just trying to figure it out because StreamYard did it with another guest, and I don't know if it's StreamYard or what it is. But so I guess some of the questions that what are some of the UFO experiences you've had? I mean, what were some of those like?
Now, one of the best UFO experiences that I had was pretty astonishing. I was in Grass Valley, California. I was getting ready to have dinner with a couple there, and we were outside on their porch, and the sun was coming down. I think it had just gone down, and since I've lived in Sedona, I've been able to identify ships in the horizon, in the sky, especially at night when the starts coming in. So it was still kind of it was still daylight for the most part, but the stars you could start seeing the stars, right?
Yes.
And we were looking in the back porch, and we were on his back porch, on their back porch, and I seen a star. Now the way that you can tell a ship is that if you look at it, it'll number one it'll turn yellow, green, blue, red. It'll keep changes those different colors, and they're usually towards the horizon. That's how you can identify where these ships are at. And then if you look at them really closely, they'll start zigzagging, moving around, right? Back and forth. Yeah, and not very far, but just if you look at them really closely, you can see them zigzagging. So I did. I looked at this star looking thing. I pointed to him and I said, "Look, see that right there? That's a ship." You know. So he took off, came back with a telescope. I lined it up, and sure enough, it was a cigar shaped ship, a cigar shaped ship that kept shifting back and forth, horizontal to vertical, horizontal to vertical, horizontal to vertical. It kept switching, and he looked at it. I think he was probably blown away, but I don't. I don't think he said much after that. But that was besides the point. Another time we were again in that same area. We were in Nevada City at the Yuba River. Have you ever been to the Yuba River or anything like that? You know where Nevada
I
City?
have not. I have not.
Anyhow, we were there. Me and this guy. I was living there at the time. We went out. We said let's get the hell out of Dodge. Let's go. Just get out of here. So we went out camping, and somehow we got onto the subject about UFOs, right? I go, you mean you've never seen a UFO ever? He said, no. Also, we were looking in the sky. It was clear, black skies with all these stars, and all of a sudden, one of the stars just started going, just moving really fast across the sky, right? He's like looking at, whoa! He's like tripping out. I was cracking up, but it was moving way too fast for it to be a satellite or some kind of missile or anything. And not only that, but it just started moving. It was like all the stars were stationary, and then almost towards the middle, the star started moving across the sky out of the blue. So I know it couldn't have been a satellite. So anyhow, and then I've had now another huge experience that I've had with UFOs is that I started going to the WESAC Festival. Have you ever heard of the WESAC Festival in Mount Shasta, California?
I haven't.
A guy by the name of Joshua David Stone, a doctor, I believe. He wrote a whole encyclopedia set to spirituality, like 13 books or something like that. I can't remember. I read several of those books when I went to India. At least I read at least a couple of those. And when I came back, I knew about the WESAC Festival, and I thought, man, I want to go to that. This is back in 1997, right? So I did. I went to the WESAC Festival. I photographed the whole event, sent pictures of the copies of the pictures to Joshua David Stone, and the next year he said, "Well, the masters want to know if you want to be the official photographer for the Wesak Festival." I didn't I didn't think nothing of it, but I said, "Okay, sure, why not?" So I did. I went and photographed it for the next 4 or 5 years after that, and I would get basically just a free ticket to go to the Wesak Festival, and then I put them on a CD disc, and then give them to them, and then I would go to they would have a leadership retreat. It was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think maybe even Thursday, but Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then on Monday they would have a leadership retreat. So I would get invited to go to the leadership retreat and photograph that too. I did all that, and I would send him digital copies. The very last year that I went back in 2003, my guidance told me you need to leave early or something to that effect. Leave early or something like that. So I thought, okay, to the leadership retreat. The festival was over. The next morning, I wake up. I'm in a hotel room, and my guidance goes, "Leave early." So I said, "Okay." So I took off, and the leadership retreat was in another little town or another place right next door in the next town. And so I took off early, and I was on the freeway, Interstate 5 of all places, and I looked over at Mount Shasta, and I thought, "Wow, that's really brilliant." I mean, those clouds, the clouds. There was a bunch of clouds. There was a cloud. You know what a ventricular cloud is?
I've heard of one. Yes.
They're really smooth, and the reason they're that way, my understanding is that they become really flat and circular and smooth because there are ships that come near them, and they're moving the air so fast, so much that they make the clouds become flat and smooth and circular. That's my understanding. So anyhow, there was big ventricular cloud right next to Mount Shasta. I literally pulled over off the interstate and I took several pictures, and then I took off. Well, about a week or two later, I went and and this is back in the day when old school film was still in session, right? I went and had the negatives developed at one of the places in town somewhere. And I got the pictures back, and I was showing them to a friend there in Grass Valley. And he goes, "Wow, look at that!" What are you talking about? And sure enough, there was a huge ship right next to Mount Shasta in the picture. You could not see the whole ship because it was so big. It was huge. I don't know if it was mothership or whatever, but it was huge. And I looked at that, and I went and looked at the negatives for that whole. I think there was probably 27, 23 rolls of film that I had developed. Those negatives were gone. Whoever was developing those pictures, either they were CIA, FBI, I don't know, or they just were selfish and greedy, whatever. Those negatives for those pictures were gone. There's about 3 or 4 of them at least. And so I had to go have new negatives developed. Well, years later, my van got stolen. They all disappeared, and I went and I found them online somewhere. I found them in one of my flash drives or something. So I still had copies of them. And then when I went to write this book, Andrew Aloha's Paranormal Experiences on Amazon, I still couldn't find it. I went through all my discs, all my hard drives, everything. I still have one place that I have to go look, and they disappeared. So I think I can still find proof of that, but I still have to go and drudge through all my stuff. But that's going to take at least 1 or 2 or 3 days. I don't know how long it's going to take. But, it's like that.
And where can people get your book at now?
Again, it's $29.95. I'm looking at the Notion. You guys can check if you want. But I believe there's a way that I can make my book free on Kindle for the next few days, for the whole weekend. I'm going to see if I can make it for free on Kindle if you want a copy of it, and then check it out for yourself.
Okay, just let us know for sure.
Don't hold me to it, but because I don't know if I can figure it out. I did it once before, but and they changed. I did my last book, the 90-day Ascension Journey, on Creator Space, and that's the whole book that takes you through all the process, all the takes you through the teachings of becoming a master, becoming a saint, becoming enlightened, becoming an ascended citizen, and that's on Kindle for 99 cents. And I did make it available for free one time, but I haven't done it. And since then, Creator Space has been bought out by Amazon or whatever, and so now everything's different. And if I can figure that out on Amazon, then I'm going to make this book free, available for free for the weekend.
Well, let us know, and I'll let everybody know. But we're about to actually close out. What is the? Do you have any main links you want to give to everybody?
You can. I reformatted my website. I was taking it. I had it serviced through Yahoo, but they started gouging me and putting all these funky tricks, and so I said, "Well, screw it." So I stopped with them for about a year, and then just recently I finally reformatted my website. You can go to spiritualimageproductions.com. My links for the books are there. My links for other stuff are there, all kinds of links, and whatever. And if you get the book for free and want to make a donation to me, there's even links for that if you want to do that or whatever. So it's like that.
All right. Well, Andrew, we appreciate it so much. We thank you for stopping by, and let me know about that, and I'll let everybody know. Thanks so much.
And I want to thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, and have a great weekend, and thanks so much.
Aloha.
All right. Aloha. All righty. Let's see. We got next week coming up. That's the first Augie Nost, and Jay will be here. And let's see. We had someone come up from the Illuminati in the chat room. Wow.
I saw that. I read that.
It's like a night of cults.
That
guy, Leo Zagami, Italian dude that's been on the show. He's about the Illuminati and stuff. But the real Illuminati, he said this one is like a weird cult. Can you see it in there? The weird stuff they're saying. These weirdos come on Facebook and try to get you to join the Illuminati. It says, I'll read it. Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Clark. I am from the UK. I'm giving a testimony. I'm trying to talk British. It's not working. On how I joined the Illuminati Brotherhood. I was trying to join this organization for so many years now. I was scammed by fake agents in South Africa and Nigeria. I was down. I could not feed myself and my family anymore. And I tried to make money by all means, but in all vain. I was afraid to contact any Illuminati agency because they have eaten my money. What? The Illuminati agent ate his money.
But all in vain. I was afraid to contact any Illuminati agent because they have eat my money. One day, I came across a post of someone giving a testimony thanking A. You got frozen there, so I finished reading it.
Something weird's been going on. Like there's been an echo. There's all kinds of weird. It went away when his mic went away, so I guess it's coming from there. But I had some weird echo that was echoing.
Yeah, I kept hearing this sound that sounded like someone was using a circular saw.
I don't know.
I thought to myself, like, is someone is either like a logger and is like doing construction work, or someone is dismembering bodies somewhere.
Oh, say hello to my little friend. It's funny. They had that. I know you didn't watch this. I watched that Tiger King show when it came out.
Oh yeah.
And it's worth watching just for the stupid funniness of it, because it is sickly, just crazy as hell. Like I would be hard pressed to watch it a second time, but the first time it was crazy. But in it, they went down to Florida, and the dude that was the real Scarface owns a cat sanctuary. And apparently that dude really supposedly carved up a federal agent with a chainsaw or something crazy, kind of thing. And he's out of jail now, I guess. But he was the real dude. And that show is crazy as hell. And I know that guy's Tiger King's in jail now, but he was like married to these two gay dudes. It was just like it was so gay.
I'm
And
sorry.
and he's walking around with a mullet and like, come here, you look so sexy. Let's get a tiger. But it's hilarious. Like it's so funny. Nicolas Cage is supposed to play him in a movie. It's worth watching, but be stoned or something for sure. But there's a second season. I don't know if I want to watch it, but he apparently tries to kill Carol Baskin, and then he's in jail now. I think he has cancer or something. I don't know, but
And these people, they live these bizarre lives. Well, we just heard one.
yeah, and it's sick because the tigers, like, it gets into the sick stuff they do to these poor cats and stuff,
Well,
smuggling them and all that. And they visit some other dude, that has cats, like it's like a cult, a lot of weird stuff. But I don't know much about Sai Baba that he was talking about, but there was a lot of cult stuff that came up with it. And there's a lot of talk about that with Benjamin Cream as well. But I don't know much about it. But they tried to. I think that Benjamin Cream and all of them tried to do my show. I don't know if I did it, but I know they sent me some weird books that I never read that was about Matria or whatever, some kind of Matria. Supposedly,
Maitreya. You mean Maitreya?
yeah.
The future Buddha dude.
Yeah, and there's pictures of him going to like crowds and stuff, like weird. He looks weird. I don't know. It's weird. It's all weird. So I don't trust it.
Well, it's we do weird stuff too. So I guess it's like one person's weird is another person's weirder.
Yeah, I just found out. Well, I don't know if you ever get a chance to see Resident Alien. It's a funny show you'd like. It's really funny with that Alan Tudyk guy in it. That guy is a great actor. Like, he's just been in so many different things. But in it, this gray alien takes over a doctor, kills the doctor, and takes over his body. And he's there to annihilate humanity. But he starts to like some of them. It's just funny because the way he reacts. That Nathan Fillion is the voice for an octopus that's there that he frees from a cage. That's an alien octopus. It's like it's a comedy, but kind of a sci-fi. It's weird. There's a little alien baby running around last episode that hatched from an egg. But that guy, it's from a comic book. But Alan Tudyk, he's a really good actor. Like, he's in a lot of good stuff. He's been in a bunch of good stuff. He's in Firefly. I never watched that ever, but I hear it's good. Firefly, did you ever watch that?
Nope.
That weird space movie show.
Yeah, I've heard all about it, and it's like
like
it's kind of like Game of Thrones. People who like it really, really like it, but it's like, you know what? There's like a million things that everybody likes.
Exactly.
So I can't watch it all.
And that's the thing. Why watch it if they canceled it? Why do I want to watch? They made a movie or something. It was like one season.
Yeah.
And they canceled it and made a movie. Now they're saying they're going to bring it back. Blah blah blah. I got enough stuff to keep up with. I can't keep up with.
I'm just too old. I just don't care.
Yeah, we were watching a weird show, me and Christina, Servant by the M. Night Shyamalan on Apple. And it's got the redheaded girl from 6 Feet Under, that show by Alan Ball. I can't remember her name, but she's in it. I know M. Night Shyamalan's daughter's in it. The redhead from Harry Potter guy's in it. I forget his name, but it's weird.
Rupert Grint.
He's in it. It's really weird. They're all in this house, and the woman loses her baby by an accident in the car. She leaves it in the car, but then the girl brings another baby, and the redhead's still in denial that her baby died. But then the girl with the black hair is like a witch or the devil. Like, all this crazy stuff's going on. It's all in this house. It's worth watching. They're little 30-minute episodes, but I don't know what the hell's going on. Oh, I watched this crazy movie last night, and I had found it on eBay, like on VHS. It's called Shuro, the Alien Hitchhiker, and I will never watch it again. But the alien looked cool in it, but it was really kind of cheap. But the alien comes down and merges with this dude, and they fall in love. And there's like these weird scenes where the dude's naked on the bed showing his butt like he's being probed and making these faces. Like, Christina's begging me to shut it off and half asleep. And I was like, no, I don't want. I want to at least finish it because I know I'm never going to watch it again ever in my life. But it was just weird. Like I felt dirty after watching it. Like some weird VHS that I found on eBay, and they were not selling this VHS anywhere else. The movie was not anywhere. You couldn't find it anywhere. It's just like this weird one VHS. So I got it, but I'll never watch it again. But don't watch it.
Okay. Okay. I won't watch it. I won't watch it. I won't watch it at all.
This gray alien has no sex.
It will be no problem for me to avoid it.
And during the show of the movie, the alien kept saying penis, lips, anus. Penis, lips, anus over and over and over. Like I wouldn't even watch this movie like on hard drugs. But don't ever watch it. And watch out for this Illuminati cult because they're going crazy trying to get people. And they make you give them money. They offer you money. I tried to get the money. They wouldn't give it to me.
It's
like, well, here's my PayPal. Here. Nothing. I wasn't going to join, but I would take their money and run.
Absolutely.
And take out the Illuminati. We've been sleeping in the RV lately. It's pretty cool, except when the light comes through the pull-up curtains in the morning. But it's pretty neat to sleep in it.
Gives you a little more room.
Yeah, it's neat. It's like a little apartment with 4 wheels. Then you drive it. It's 1997 though. It's nice. It's pretty. It was well taken care of. We go in there and watch weird movies like Nosferatu, 1922. We watched that in there. We watched The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the hell was going on in that. I'm still like, that was a crazy.
Is that the original one?
Yeah, the German one.
Yeah, that's like a freaky, weird show.
That is weird. I don't know what, the whole time I was like, what the hell is happening? This looks neat.
You know, and that's what's funny about those like really old shows. Like if you watch those old Bela Lugosi shows, you know, if you think for a minute that people are more perverse now, just watch The Black Cat with Bela Lugosi and what's his name? I can't remember the guy who played Frankenstein.
Boris Karloff.
Yeah,
I'll have to dig those out.
Because that is a great film, and it is freaky. It's freaky weird. It's got like the weirdest vibe.
The Black Cat.
I've
heard of it.
It's really bizarre.
Nosferatu's the creepiest one, though, of silent films. I have the other ones, the Golem. I haven't seen the Golem yet, but I'm going to watch it. Then it has Jekyll and Hyde and Hunchback. There's a set of them that's pretty cool. But I was digging for other ones. There's a whole set of Lon Chaney ones that are old, and a bunch of different ones. There's a bunch from Marno. Faust. I've seen that before. That's pretty weird. I'd like to see that again. Faust. He did a Faust. One of the best ones, though, Christina can watch this one now. We're going to watch it at some point. Shadow of the Vampire. Did you ever see that with John Malkovich and William Dafoe?
Yeah.
That is a great one for sure.
Yeah, it is good.
They're actually remaking Nosferatu. The guy that did The Witch and The Lighthouse and The Northman, he has a Norse movie coming out, The Northman, but he's doing Nosferatu. That guy's a good filmmaker, so it should be interesting. But there's another one coming out with Doug Jones, the guy that was in Shape of Water and played the Abe Sapien and Hellboy and all that. He's going to play Nosferatu. So there's 2 Nosferatu's movies coming. Looking forward to those for sure. Next, sometime we're watching Conan the Barbarian. Arnold. Conan the Barbarian. Soon. It's happening for sure. But all right, everybody. We got through that interview. Thank goodness. Everybody have a good weekend. And we'll all see you Friday. Augie Nost on April Fool's Day. Have a good one, Wham. Thanks. Thanks, JoJo. Everybody have a good weekend. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.